Hey guys, Jessica Schwartz here. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about the pros and cons of being a freelancer or being an entrepreneur. So, the thing with being an entrepreneur is it means that you have to make a conscious decision to either work for yourself, start a business, create a product, create a service. And I've talked before a lot in my blog about how creating a service-based business like consulting, writing, graphic design, editing, anything service-based, website creation, that can be free to start. So you really don't have to spend any money to see if your business is a viable option. When it comes to products, obviously that's very different. You need a physical, actual product in order to test the market and see if it's something that people are even interested in. Perhaps doing something like a Kickstarter, an Indiegogo, and doing crowdfunding to see how people react to it, and also raising capital to create the product and manufacture it. So when it comes to service-based freelancing, there are a lot of pros and cons. I think that's true with anything. In terms of pros, there are a lot of them. You get to work for yourself. You get to set your own hours, set your own prices. One of the rad things is that you're actually able to really think about what you want to do and take the business in any direction that you want to go in. I'm actually a accidental entrepreneur. I never really dreamed of starting my own business, but I did dream of being a writer. And being a writer was something I just so very much wanted to do. And in order to be a writer, I really needed to do it for myself and be able to be a freelancer and get clients and charge people what I wanted to charge and all of that kind of thing. So that's what I had to do. So I kind of became an entrepreneur as a result of wanting to be a writer. And I've been able to successfully do that for about 2 years now. And of course, there are a lot of cons in terms of setting your own hours. When you work from home or you have your own business, you tend to work a lot longer hours. It's a lot harder to disconnect when your computer is in your home and you're getting an email or you have a deadline or you just want to look for more clients. It's a lot harder to disconnect when you're 10 feet from your office at any given time. And then, of course, it can also be incredibly isolating and lonely. If you don't work in a co-working space or if you don't know of other entrepreneurs or people who work from home or stay-at-home parents, you're going to be in your house by yourself a lot. It's really just me and my cat most of the time. And it's not terrible, but it can be. It can be very lonely. And it also can be very isolating just in the sense that you get so used to being at home all the time and in your PJs that sometimes it can feel like a chore to go out and do things or go see your friends or go to the city, whatever it is that you're going to do. There's also a big con is there's no paid time off. When you are an entrepreneur or a freelancer, you don't work, you don't get paid. So I've taken several vacations. My husband and I went to India and London earlier this year, and we took 2 weeks off. And it was the first time since I started the business that I did not work while I was gone. And it was very difficult for me to not work and not be checking on things. But I had let everyone know weeks in advance, and I'd done as much work as I could to prepare for leaving and have my clients still have what they need. And in the end, I had an amazing vacation, but I got paid a lot less that month because there were several clients that we just paused for that 2 weeks, and they only paid for half the month once I returned. And in addition to that, that break actually caused one of my clients to drop off. They decided that they weren't sure that it was a good investment right now, and they wanted to move forward without a blog and see what happens. And that was the risk I took by leaving for a large chunk of time and not attending to my business while I was gone. Another big thing is just this idea of choosing goals and choosing directions. As a freelancer, you don't have anyone telling you what to do, which is awesome. If you've ever had a micromanager, you know that it can be so frustrating when there's somebody breathing down your neck. And of course, there is none of that when you work for yourself. However, you really have to be incredibly organized and very dedicated and deadline driven in order to meet all of your own deadlines that you have set with your clients. Because there's no one telling you what to do, it can be really easy to get distracted and simply go about your day and watch YouTube videos or go play with your cat or go take a walk or a long shopping break and not get done the things you need to get done. And if you're like me, you tend to get distracted and you'll be in the middle of a task and something shiny will catch my eye and I will just turn and, watch a squirrel outside or play with my cat. So I have to be very focused about finishing what I'm doing, about being dedicated. One of the things that I do to combat this is I really use my calendar as a tool for productivity. I actually block off times on my calendar, specifically block off times in order to say, all right, from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m., I'm completing this task. From 2 to 3, I have a call. From 3:30 to 5, I'm working on my blog for tomorrow. So I actually block it off so that I have specific times within each day that I'm working on something. It's often color coded. Like if it's orange, it's usually a client thing. If it's purple, it's usually a blog thing. I just started my YouTube channel, so I don't really have a color for that yet, but I'm sure it'll be red because it's YouTube. But basically, there are a lot of pros and cons. I've written articles about it. I will leave an article with even more pros and cons in the description below. But I think something to remember is that being a freelancer can be incredibly rewarding. I have more flexibility in my life than ever before. I have taken this opportunity to volunteer more, which has been incredibly rewarding personally. There is a cat shelter that I have volunteered for, and for the last 2 summers, I have volunteered at a local boathouse, it's completely volunteer run, and it allows people in Brooklyn at Brooklyn Bridge Park to go kayaking on the weekends all summer long, and it's so cool to be involved with things like that. I really, really enjoy volunteering. It's something that I have always wanted to do more of, as opposed to just donating money here and there, which I also do. And don't forget, it's write-offable. Donations are, it's as well as all business expenses. And that's another pro of being a freelancer, actually. You can write off a lot of your expenses, and when you can deduct things off of your taxes. Now, that doesn't mean that you're reducing your income and paying less taxes on a reduced income amount. A write-off or a deduction actually gives you tax credit towards your income tax. So it does reduce your tax, but in a different way than you might expect. But you can actually deduct quite a bit. Any wear and tear on your vehicles, when you're driving to work things, any events or work travel that you do, meals that you take clients out at. But even honestly, the coolest things is the home stuff. I work from home full time, so I actually get to write off part of my rent and utilities and electricity and gas, because a part of my home is my business. So I'm able to write off a specific portion. Usually it's based on like square footage of my home office on my taxes, as well as things like buying a new computer, buying a new desk, buying new office supplies. And there's a lot more too. So really think about that. You do get tax breaks. Of course, you also have to pay taxes in a different way as well as a freelancer. I think it's if you earn more than $400 gross in 1 year as a freelancer, you must file your taxes to calculate self-employment tax. And I actually wrote something about how to file taxes as a freelancer recently, which I will also link below, just because I think it's really, really important. A lot of people aren't sure how to do it or don't know what forms they need. But there are a lot of pros and cons. I think it's really important to remember that when it comes to freelancing, it's all you. Even when you're hiring other people and other contractors and freelancers to work with you or help you with your work, it rests on you. Your success or failure is determined by your own work ethic and dedication and quality of product. And I think something about that for me is incredibly gratifying, because I just really truly want to rely on myself, and I believe in myself, and I'm confident in my skills as a writer and editor and book coach. And it's something that I know I can be successful at as long as I'm willing to put in the work. And I think that if you are not 100% confident in what you're doing and passionate about the space, then it's not going to work. Another con is, at least in the sense of writing, is that almost every writer, editor I've ever met has not been a salesperson. They either don't like marketing, or they don't want to do it, or they don't see the point in it. I've had other editors and writers actually tell me, I don't see the point in sales after all, clients are finding me here and there. But at the same time, they don't have full pipelines. They're not getting the number of clients they want. They're not, or I had one who was pretty upset, not upset, but like was, didn't understand why I was able to ramp up and make a full-time living very, very quickly. I was making the same full-time salary that I was making in my regular 9 to 5 day job as a business development manager in about 90 days after starting freelancing. And that's because I was using sales. So if you're not willing to go out and sell yourself and market yourself, whether that's Facebook ads, reaching out to people, cold emailing, I think social media is just an amazing way to find clients these days. I found clients on Reddit and Instagram, and there's so many ways that people can find you. People find me through my blog, through my website. They'll see a video that I made, or they'll hear about a course that I promoted on Facebook ads. And the thing is you have to put yourself out there. If you're not willing to sell yourself, then how are people going to know who you are? You have to, people aren't just going to find you because they know you. They have to know, they have to see you and see your name and figure out what you do in order to be interested. Of course, the best way to get clients is referrals. So if you do a great job, people will refer people to you. And of course, that just ups your reputation and your name and your services. And of course, the very best part of being a freelancer is you get to set your own prices and also choose who you want to work with. I'm going to do a video at some point soon about how to identify bad clients and ignore them or not work with them, or how to break up with a bad client. But the truth is that 99% of the people I've worked with have been fantastic. Clients that are grateful and interesting and working on stuff that is so cool and so neat to learn about. And it's amazing that I get to be a part of it. And so, and they've all been different. Like, that's the best part, is I get to choose what clients to take on. I get to choose what I want to do. Therefore, I'm always interested. It's always diverse. And it's so important to me. And so that's why I continue doing things like that. So it's really cool. I absolutely encourage you to, if you want to be a freelancer, you can start the way I did, which was I actually had my 9 to 5 and I was finding freelance clients on the side and working at night and on the weekends for about 3 months until I built up enough of a client base that I was able to quit my job and focus on freelancing full time. And I do tell more of that story in my book in a lot more detail and discussing exactly what numbers I was making at that time. But really, the reality is that because I was willing to go out and find people and go to them and say, hey, I'm a writer, I can help you, and get clients, and then work my butt off every night till midnight and go to bed, wake up, go to work, come home and do the same thing the next night and all weekend long. I was willing to put the work in because I knew that being a freelancer and working from home was going to give me a very different type of fulfillment and gratification and satisfaction with my life and career. And I am extremely grateful that I did. I'm very happy with how it all ended up. And you know what? In the end, if I, 5 years from now, if being a freelancer is no longer what I want to do, I have a career. I have a career right now as a writer, editor, and book coach. I had a 10-year career in sales. Like, I can always go back to that. But if I hadn't tried and become this accidental entrepreneur, I never would have known what I was capable of and what truly makes it great, and also sometimes bad, but usually great. So I'd love to hear about your experiences with freelancing, what you're looking for, if you have thought about being a freelancer, what questions you have, as well as checking in to see what are your pros and cons. Like, what do you want to know about freelancing that I haven't talked about? I'd love to answer your questions and go over more. And if you have any questions or need anything, comment below. I'd be happy to check in. So I will link a couple of articles in the comment description box below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks and have a great day.